Good morning, everyone. Hope we had a nice evening rest, night rest. Hope we're waking up with fresh and hopeful, creative endeavors. I know sometimes with this whole process right now, it's like day to day is sort of a relearning or remembering or just really a reshaping of our lives as we know it. A lot has been disrupted, and there's a lot of waves to ride during this time. It's like every day is a new endeavor, as it always has been. But now with this sort of added element of in a collective way, we've, never experiencing something like this on such a grand scale. So every day is this opportunity, so to speak, to redefine, reframe, and just re-engage with ourselves and our community and our loved ones in ways that we've never probably done before in this type of way. So I'm happy for all of you out there that have been joining me, all of you that have been meditating, doing yoga, and just really allowing me to share my practice with you. This is something that's been, at this point, it's somewhat of a life's work and endeavor for me to really go deep with these teachings of yoga and be able to share them in whatever way that I can. And if it's through online platforms, that's beautiful for me. And I'm hoping that on some level it's impacting you in a positive and uplifting way, because that's really my intention. So this week I've kind of designated various breathing techniques to teach. So what we're going to be doing today is a breathing technique called Vritti. And Vritti is an equal part breath. But before we get into that, I kind of wanted to give a little bit of some background on yoga and why these practices are even in place. So what we know about yoga stems from various teachings and texts, and the knowledge that has been passed on from teacher to student. So like many traditional teachings, they were word of mouth, or not word of mouth, but through verbal dialogue or through a verbal interaction. And then somewhere along the way, somebody decided to begin writing these down, some of the teachings and the learnings. And what we have, one of a main, almost like the cornerstone of our modern day yoga practice, comes from what we know from this person that we know who is named Patanjali. And if you've been traveling along this path of yoga, you've probably heard about Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. So these sutras, means thread, but it's kind of like all these statements or aphorisms, all surrounding yoga. So there's 196 of them. The second sutra talks about what yoga does, and it's basically the framework for all of the rest that come after it. The second sutra basically in one line sums up the teachings of yoga, which is kind of incredible because it's just this wide branching and ever deep process and practice. And so Patanjali writes that, I wanted to get it right, so I wrote it down, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. and that's in Sanskrit. So yoga is the stilling of the fluctuations or the chatter of the mind. That's what yoga, the whole point, that what we're trying to do is calm, still, and in some respect, it might even feel like a pausing of these fluctuations of our mind. And that's a lot of, just in that one sentence, there's a ton of clarity. And the reason that we're doing that, as he goes further in to talk about, is that when we do that, and what we know about yoga is the union, it means union, to join, to unite. And I've kind of talked about this. There's this process of kind of bringing things together as we practice yoga, as we practice meditation. There is this unifying force that we're engaging in. For instance, when we're breathing, and in the yoga practice, like the asana practice, when we're breathing and we're moving as one, that is one pointedness in that particular, let's say, asana or movement. And the whole point of that is actually to not allow the mind to drift. When we sit in meditation, just that mindfulness meditation, when we're paying attention to the inhale and the exhale, we're uniting our awareness, our consciousness to that process, just the inhale and the exhale. Why do we do this? Why is that so important? And that, in both of those things, when we unite our awareness, when we bring full focus, all of our attention to that, what happens is that these fluctuations, the chatter, they begin to lessen because our involvement with them lessens. And what that does, it's almost like it paves this way. You can think of it as like a stairway. You can think of it as a path. But basically, that opens up the potential for us to unite with the supreme reality, as they say, the supreme self. So the goal, so to speak, or the point of yoga is to unite with this ultimate reality. Most of the times, the reality that we think is happening isn't happening, right? It's just the mental chatter. It's just this mental dialogue. That's actually pulling you away from the present moment, from stillness, from absorption in the ultimate. So all of these practices are this stairway to this ultimate reality, basically. Why we sit, why we do this, because when we're united in that, this is where, if you've ever heard of the term enlightenment, or if you've heard a realized being, somebody who's fully realized. And this is somebody who has basically no attachments to our physical reality. They know we have a body, right? We have our mind, we have, things around us, but they're not attached to this reality. As I was saying in the yoga practice yesterday afternoon, yoga is almost as if it's like letting go of all these things. We have a full house of clutter. Our mind is fully cluttered, right? And if anybody out there says they don't have a cluttered mind, I would question them. Because I think all of us are in this together. Why yoga becomes such this precious gift is because we begin to notice, wow, I am living in this way where I am just piling on problems, piling on dramas, piling on and maintaining my grip with all of my past conditioning. Right? I'm identifying as the victim I'm continuing to carry with me all this baggage from my past. Yoga teaches us and shows us through the practice that we don't need to bring all of that with us every step of the way of our life, that we can liberate ourselves from these trappings, so to speak, trappings of the mind, trappings of our ability to relate to that ultimate reality. And most teachings, yogic teachings and philosophy, some Buddhists as well, it's like what we're doing all of this for is to liberate ourselves, right? To become free. Wouldn't that be amazing if we could just, even let's say for one day, not experience anxiety? What if for one day we weren't caught up in our story, whatever story of our past, right? What if for just one day we could liberate ourselves from all of the, social conditionings, family conditionings, our personal story of conditioning that we will even entrap ourselves to. So yoga is this way of engaging less with all of these trappings of the mind, mental chatter, past conditionings, and really tuning in to this ultimate reality that is what they talk about as being the true reality, and basically is associated with the soul, right? The soul is is where this wisdom, this knowledge, and it's as if when we tune into this part of us, that tunes into this larger aspect of self. Some of us call it, there's many forms to this. There are many names for this ultimate reality. For me, I like to describe it as a creator, or some people call it God, some people call it Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, there's Krishna, there's so many names, great mystery, great spirit. There are so many names for this thing that is not formed, it has no form that we can understand, but creates all of these things, and also has given us this way to connect with it, right? And of course, there would be a pathway to that. And that's what all of these teachings are for, is cultivating that stillness so that way we can be absorbed in this ultimate reality. And that's what Patanjali basically deduces in 196 sutras. So that's not, when you look at the length of what that is, it's not a long text, but it's very potent. This is where we get the 8 limbs of yoga from. This is where we get sort of these the yamas and the niyamas, the codes of conduct, and sort of like how to carry yourself as a student and an embodiment of this spirit soul that we are, and how to relate to the world as this spirit soul, even though we're in a human body. So, and also so the mind, right, also to deal, so to speak, to manage our humanness. All of this is setting us up for becoming really this beautiful person, as what I would want to reinforce. It's when we are engaged with this ultimate reality, when we are engaged with this largeness of life, so to speak, all of life, the known and the unknown, when we're engaged with that aspect of reality, these small little ripples that come into our awareness, they don't seem so big anymore. We see them as like, okay, yes, we have to manage our daily life, right? We have to go to work. We have to eat food. We have to do family things. But now we're doing these things in this state of knowing that there is something so much larger at play. And for me, when I know that, it's like, okay, yeah, why am I getting so caught up in this minor detail of something? And when I come to the yoga practice, it's my time of centering. It's my time of refocusing. And it's also this time of regeneration or restoration, because when our minds are going kind of like on this hamster wheel, it's exhausting, right? It's exhausting. It's utterly exhausting. And at some point, when we become so exhausted with this process, when we say, I have had enough of this, it's almost like we're breaking something open within ourselves. And when we can break that piece open and have presence there, we can fall into these teachings in such a deep way. We're like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to let this stuff go, because being on this hamster wheel, and this is kind of what's happening in life right now, right? This quarantine is making us stop, making us pause. The hamster wheel is not going anymore. And in some respects, although it is scary to not really understand why all of this is happening, or what the end result is going to be, or when are things going to come back to normal, remember, this is just mental chatter again. Mental chatter again. And if we can come back to the breath, come back to the present moment, task at hand, whatever the task is, and be completely absorbed in that task with our full attention, not like, okay, I've got this going over here, I got this going over here, I got this going over here. No, it's full engagement with this present moment. And whatever that task is, that's yoga. Whether you're doing a yoga asana, whether you're doing a meditation, whether you are even talking on the phone, when you give your full attention to something, when you fully unite with that which is in front of you in a clear, authentic way, that's yoga. And of course, when we can restore our mind and our body and our soul through these practices, that is also yoga. So, I wanted to just begin with this teaching of Patanjali, which I think I'm going to continue. So it helps me to understand and re-engage with what these practices are all about as well. So thank you. So let's get to the breathing technique. Sama Vritti. So this is, Sama is the same, and then the Vritti is the fluctuations or the chatter. So what we're doing with this breath is that we are equally engaging in our breath and calming the mind. So they say that the mind is fueled by your breath. So the more inhalations and exhalations that you're doing in a rapid way, like shallow breathing is what a lot of people might call it, that will make your mind spin. Slow the breath down, thoughts slow down. So we see this relationship between our mind and breath. When we can, and that's why we're always tuning into the breath. It's always like, tune into the breath. That's right. Okay, tune into the breath. The reason being that this is what helps us to still slow down the mind. And then if you can extend that breath, then once again, you can slow the mind down even more. And that's awesome. This is what calms our nervous system. This is what calms our bodies and our minds. And then it also begins to retrain all of our neural pathways and engage with a different way, a different perspective of living our life. So it's a very simple breath technique. So for some of us, if you're pregnant out there, I'm going to teach it two ways. So if you're pregnant, you're going to do it the modified way. If you have high blood pressure and any sort of heart condition, you're going to just do it the modified way. And everybody else should be fine to do it. And if for whatever reason you feel like you need to do it modified, then just do it modified. That's okay. So as we've been doing, we're just going to settle into our comfortable seated position. Just if you're on the ground, make sure your seat is elevated enough so your knees are lower than the hips. And if you're in a chair, it's actually nice to put the feet on the ground. So that way you just have this nice long spine. Try not to slouch. If you're in a chair, sometimes it's compelling to do that. And then we're just going to elongate the spine and just imagine that there's a hook that's hooking into the top of your head and then pulling up from the top of the head, so that way the whole spine elongates. The hands are they can be palm face up or palm face down. So either way, or they can be in Gyan Mudra. So choose your hand position and just begin breathing. Full, deep, long breaths, just settling in. Breathing deep into the lowest part of the belly, bringing that breath up to the side body, up through the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. Pausing for just a moment, and then just a gentle release through the nose. Feeling that natural depression, that rooted feeling that's happening as you exhale. And as you inhale, feeling that inspiration, that upward sensation that's keeping you upright as you inhale. And then as you exhale, once again, feeling more grounded, more rooted, more steady, more stable here in this meditative position. Fully engaging with our breath, noticing the inhales and the exhales coming through the entrance of the nostrils. And let's begin. So there's 4 parts to this breath. So I'm going to count. I'm going to start with a count of 4, and then I'll gradually increase that. And you can remain at whatever count is comfortable for you. Just continue counting on your own if you're not going to increase with me. So we're going to inhale for 2, 3, 4. I'm going to pause the breath. So hold it. 2, 3, 4. And then just so gently exhale through the nose. 2, 3, 4. And then pause. Keep the breath out. 2, 3, 4. And then we'll begin again. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Pause. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Pause. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Pause. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Pause. 2, 3, 4. And keep going on your own at this rhythm of count to 4. And for those who are doing it modified, you're just inhaling for 2, 3, and 4, and exhaling for 2, 3, and 4. So it's just the same breath or equal parts breath for both. So for those of you who are doing the 4-part breath, we're going to go up to a count of 5. So we're going to be inhaling 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause, 2, 3, 4, 5. And do a couple rounds on your own, inhaling for 5 counts, pausing for 5 counts, exhaling for 5 counts, pausing for 5 counts, and then repeating, inhaling again. And we're going to go through this through a count of 6 as well. But I want you to kind of train yourself and do this on your own for a few rounds. So we're going to increase to 6. So those of you who are doing modified, you're going to be inhaling for a count of 6 and then exhaling for a count of 6. And for those of you that are doing the 4 part, we're going to start inhaling 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Last round. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then deep inhale. And then just a sweet exhale. Keep the eyes closed. Keep sitting. Just feel your body. Keep the attention still on the breath, the inhales and the exhales. Just see how much more still you are as from before we began this practice. Feel the stillness in your body. Feel the stillness in your mind. Know that this is a tool that you can use at any moment throughout the day. Anytime you need to take a break, just equal parts breath. This will help with calming the nervous system, calming the mind, and really just stilling that torrent of thought. And it's also a great breathing technique to do before sitting in meditation. Just remaining in the seated meditative position for a little bit longer. Making contact with that part of us that is aware. It's not a judging, it's not a calculating, it's not manipulating anything. It's just aware. It's this loving awareness that is present within us at all moments. And any time that a thought comes through, or a feeling or emotion, it's kind of like we say hello, you can even welcome it in, but we bring our attention back to our breath, back to the present moment. And just gently bringing our attention always over and over in this most kind way back to the present moment. Cultivating this ease and compassion for ourselves when we drift. Drifting is okay, and we also know how to bring our attention back to the present moment. Engaged with the loving awareness. And you can begin deepening your breath, bringing some movement to the fingers and the toes. Just shrugging the shoulders, inhaling up, exhaling, dropping them down, bringing just small little movements, waking up the body once again. Allowing this meditative experience to permeate through all parts of you, and also asking it to be carried with you throughout your day and all of your comings and goings. Remembering that this is here for you at any moment that you wish for it to appear, this loving awareness. And knowing that it is possible to cultivate this loving connection and compassionate connection with yourself at every single moment of the day. I'm just sending out love to you all, and praying for your health, for the health of your family, for all souls on this planet, that we can take this time to restore our bodies and bring in healthy practices, healthy foods, just bring in health, things that can really nourish our bodies, really nourish our minds, nourish our souls, right? What are the things that nourish your soul? And I think most of these things, they probably don't have like a hefty price tag on them. They're probably very simple things. So, like talking maybe with your mother or your grandmother or your best friend, right? So, or, making yourself like a great concoction of an herbal tea, or going for a walk, holding the hand of your beloved and staring into their eyes, just whatever thing is, anything that's really nourishing, bringing that more as a staple into your life right now rather than anything else. Of course, we have to, stay up on some news, but maybe not engaging with it so often. I don't engage with it very often at all. And, the news travels to me within, less than 24 hours most of the time. I am updated on the news and worldly events because so many people are. So it will come to you. I will tell you that. You will be informed. So just lessening your contact with that, going deep into these meditative and yogic practices, reading whatever books that are nourishing for you, and just deepening this connection to yourself, and then also to the self that is ever present and ever connected to the entire universe that is the cosmos, that is creation. So these are all nourishing pastimes. And it's also a way to live your life. So blessings to you all, and thank you, and have a beautiful day. Namaste.